Hey, welcome back, UFO fans, and let's get ready for championship weekend. This is the finale. The two best teams will meet for the UFO championship. The 7-4 Michigan Panthers, who upset the reigning defending champions, Birmingham Stallions, and also the surprise of the weekend, the DC Defenders. Give them credit at 7-4, coming into the St. Louis Battlehawks and defeating the Battlehawks convincingly. I did not see this coming. Neither did the sports bettors out there. Let's be honest. If you took the underdogs this past weekend, you won. If you took the favorites, you lost, just like me. I went 2-4. I only covered the overs. I lost on everything else with the favorites. However, I want to do a shout out to Chucky Valentine because he saved me on taking or looking at the DC Defenders at +3. I told you I was going to roll with a few parlays. I was going to mix and match some of my picks. And I turned out I did win on just one leg of my parlay. It was the same game parlay that I took. It wasn't a 6 leg, but it was a same game parlay in which I took the DC Defenders at +3. I took the over, and that got me a couple of dollars. Okay, it was nothing major, but it did save me some face because I did spread out my $50 over the weekend on 5 different parlays, pretty much. But good job by Chucky Valentine. As far as the player props, disappointed that Jamar Smith was taken out of the game way early. Obviously, they fell behind in that game against Michigan. Michigan pretty much blowing the doors off of the Birmingham defense. I did not see, like I said, I didn't see any of these upsets coming. I'm disappointed that the matchup I was looking forward to is not going to happen. Okay, so a couple of player props that did not go my way. That was one of them. Another one, obviously, was Max Duggan not completing the game against the DC Defenders. Okay, that was a disappointment in itself. And DC going in there and just yet another huge upset. I mean, DC just manhandled physically as well. They just manhandled the St. Louis Battlehawks. Really disappointing if you're a St. Louis Battlehawks fan. Everything was right in front of you. You had the best record in the UFL. You had home field advantage. You win this game, and the championship game is right there in your own backyard. And they just didn't get it done. Really disappointment. Didn't understand some of the play calling. Didn't understand the offensive concepts they had going against DC's defense. I told you in my previous video that DC's a very aggressive defense, and the way they use their blitz packages, DC coordinator, defensive coordinator Blake Williams, great job with coming up with this aggressive game plan. I knew that at some point, if Blake Williams had these guys running around like crazed animals, that they would get the job done, and he did. And you could watch my previous video. I said it could have gone either way with the picks, right? That's why you have to understand that what I give you, I'm trying to give you an edge. I try to tell you to trust your eyes. Obviously, I failed in that part, trusting my eyes, because I thought at that time, St. Louis and Birmingham were rolling into the playoffs on all cylinders, right? They were playing good offensively, especially Birmingham. And then they both lay an egg in the playoffs. So that was kind of disappointing. A couple of pick sixes by, well, not a couple, but the pick six against Birmingham kind of doomed them also. Just a bad throw by Jamar. Matt Corral comes in, plays well, tries to get his team back against Michigan, but it was just too much of a deficit. It seems like the Birmingham Stallions had no answer to stopping number 35, Tua or Tua Toa. I always have trouble with his name, but number 35 from Michigan just ran over them. He was, again, the human bowling ball, right? And then Colburn comes in. We haven't heard from him pretty much the whole season. He comes in, he runs well, runs over the Birmingham Stallions as well, and he had a fantastic game. So the running game was a big part. I said it from the beginning that the running game of Michigan was going to be the key to winning this game. I told you in my previous video, all right, just look at last weekend. I said to you guys that were betting out there, if Michigan goes up early and they get that running game going, guess what? Victory's at hand. And they did it, right? Instead of me going with my instincts and trusting my eyes with that, I still went with the favorites because it was the matchup I wanted to see, okay? And that's why I went 2-4. We did, however, cover the overs. The spreads we bombed if you took the favorites. Everything else was just straight up underdog. That seemed to be the theme over the weekend. The overs continue to be the theme. I believe this weekend is going to be a great championship game between two hungry teams. We're going to finally have a new champion in the UFL. So I'm looking forward to this game. And I hope you guys out there who are betting, I'm going to throw some different scenarios out there today. I'm going to throw different scenarios on the whiteboard when we get to it. But let's cover a lot of the things we saw this weekend and what we're going to expect for this championship game. First of all, I'm excited, okay? Again, it's a disappointment, and I'm sorry for you guys that follow me, and I try to give you that edge. Like I said, let's be honest, right? Everyone pretty much had the St. Louis Battlehawks written in, right? It never happens that way, though, right? We all know that in the NFL, as well as the UFL, sometimes you're picking because you see it as a fan favorite. You see it as a favorite that just does everything well. And we all know how the playoffs always turn up, right? We always know there's an underdog waiting in the wings to pull the upset. And guess what? Both teams were the underdogs. They pulled the upsets. They're in the championship game. But they're not that bad of teams, okay? Let me just point out two things that my eyes failed me on, or at least I failed my eyes. The two things that I did not factor in was how well consistently the two quarterbacks going into this weekend's championship games have played all year, right? Both of them were in the MVP race, right? Who was going to win the MVP? Was it Jordan Ta'amu or Bryce Perkins? And guess what? These are the two guys now representing in the UFL championship, right? It's not Max Duggan who came in for Manny Wilkins, okay? And it's also not going to be Jamar Smith or Matt Corral, who, if we all know, during the season, Birmingham had their troubles with the quarterback position. I thought they had steadied it with Jamar Smith. And unfortunately, it did not work out in the playoff game. So great job by Mike Nolan getting his team prepared and the defensive coordinator of Michigan getting them prepared for that upset. But, however, if you had trusted your eyes throughout the season, you would have saw this matchup coming because, after all, the key position in the NFL as well as the UFL will always be the quarterback position. A steady quarterback, consistency at the position, as well as the fact that they played all year, most of the year for their teams, will get you to this point. And guess what? The two best quarterbacks are in it. So it is going to be a great matchup this weekend, okay? So now I jumped on some of these not jumped on, but I saw some of the early lines for this weekend. So it's Monday morning. Okay, by the time you guys get this video, you'll be able to mix and match or go with your hunches. We did our best this past weekend. Unfortunately, we went 2-4. At least I can admit I took my losses in stride. What I posted on video is exactly how I'm going to explain it to you. Now, what I did during the week, and I did get a heads up from Chucky Valentine, okay, when he posted that he was going with DC +3. I thought about it. I reviewed my own video, if you could believe that, right? So that was kind of funny. So I go back to my review and I said, you know what? I keep pointing to the fact that I'm talking about the DC defense and about them being undisciplined. But if they get their shit together, they could pull this upset. And guess what? Thank you, Chucky Valentine, because I kind of took two of the parlays with the underdogs. All right. I took DC on a single game unit, right? Same game parlay, I should say, right? I did the +3 and then I with the spread and then I did the over, right? And that worked out for me. So, got an extra few bucks out of it, right? I could have won on the 6-leg parlay, but I got cute, right? So I did take DC with the 6-leg parlay, right? But you know what killed me? Was that I got cute. It wasn't a 6-leg parlay. It was a 4-leg parlay because the money line is so separated from the leg itself, right? Because when you go to the sports book, I did two of them. One on my FanDuel, and then I did the ones on the sports book at the Catskills. So what happened there was I got cute. I took the under for the DC St. Louis game, and otherwise I win that 4 game, right? But anyway, we escaped with one, and it was a 2-game, same-game parlay. So at least I got something out of it, right? But I didn't lose nothing major, right? I always say bet low to win big, right? Bet small, win big, right? So I had those $10 parlays going. But anyway, let's get to it because I got a couple of whiteboard stuff I want to show you. Okay, it's not going to be, when you look at them, I'll explain why I rolled with them. All right. So when I looked this morning on the spread, I saw that the underdogs are the DC Defenders, and I'm pretty sure DC loves it. I love the fact that they're putting DC as the underdog at +3, so that's great for DC. They're going to get motivated yet again. This is an aggressive defense, okay? So Michigan's going to have their hands full, but Michigan is also a fantastic football team. They're well coached, okay? So experience is going to play into this game. Again, you could roll with me or you could roll any other way. The point is, I'm just going to throw out some edges out there. I'm going to throw out where I think you guys can roll with, and you guys make your own decision how you're going to roll into the sports book or on your app with, okay? Whatever I put up, by the way, doesn't mean you go with it. It just gives you an idea of how I'm going to go with, and then maybe you guys could dispute it or disagree with it and say, I like what Casino Pete put out there, but I think I'm going to go the opposite direction, like Chucky Valentine did, okay? The player props, like I said, I did poorly with this weekend. I did take some player props on my sports app, and I was parlaying some of these guys, right? I had Jamar Smith, with total scrimmage yards and stuff like that. Max Duggan the same way. Both those guys really ruined every parlay I had. So, with that said, it was also coaching too. I felt like Jamar got pulled so quickly after that pick six. And I was like, you know what? Maybe stick with him. Maybe do more running. Okay, the running game from Birmingham was never established. They fell way behind too quick. And, once Matt Corral came in, there was a little bit of a resurgence. They started using their weapons, especially Jordan Thomas. Michigan did a good job understanding that they were going to go up against, probably one of the best receiving units in the league. They prepared themselves. They managed to escape. They took away the running game by getting up on them early. And then once they got up on them early, you could see that Birmingham started playing for the run. And Michigan, they fell right into Michigan's trap. And Michigan started passing the ball, and they had success. And Bryce Perkins, yet again, I thought he wasn't going to be ready for this game because of the ankle injury. And as it turns out, the old Bryce Perkins came out, started running around, taking on tacklers. I don't know how he's doing this. It's like he's a magician back there, right? Like I see guys squaring up on him. He bounces off of them like if he's a running back and he's heading downfield with the football. And I'm like, wow. So he did great. That was the guy had I taken instead of Jamar Smith, I probably would have won the majority of my player prop parlays that I had going. Okay, so we got this championship game going, and I'm going to throw one whiteboard up right now, and then we're going to go over why I did this. Okay, so let's start off real quick with one parlay that we're going. Okay, if you can see, I know sometimes the camera dims a little. If you can see, I'm moneylining the Michigan Panthers. I'm taking the over because that seems to be the theme in the UFL this year, right? The over is not as bad. It's 49.5, the over and under. So I'm going to take the over because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. That's what's been going on this past weekend in the playoffs. And then you got the spread at -3. Okay, so basically, they're going to be the favorites, the Panthers, and that's exactly what it would look like. Now, I'm going to also show you another way we're going to go, all right? We could go this way, okay? Let me just show you real quick why. Okay, you see the one change there? The +3, right? Okay, we could do that. We could do that as well, right? Basically, that could be, I showed you one same game parlay. Now I'm showing you another one. That +3 is just saying that the defenders are going to hang in there and lose by 1 or 2, right? So you could go that way with one parlay. Now I'm going to do another here, okay? And it's just to show you guys exactly what you'll be doing this weekend, all right? I'm not dead set on any predictions. I'm just trying to show you what edges are out there, All right. So this week is always, it's like a Super Bowl weekend, right? Basically, this is their Super Bowl. And what do we do on Super Bowl weekend? We try to mix and match. We look for player props. If anything, the player props are the most important thing in games like this. It's a single game. You're going to get single game parlays. You're going to get same game parlays. You're going to get a lot of player props and what to expect, including in-game betting. Okay, so just remember that, all right? So here's another way to go with the board. Okay, you get money line the defenders, right? You go straight through underdogs and you stay with the over, 49.5. And if you want to make another change, you could go under the 49.5. Is Vegas baiting us? More likely, a lot of money's going to roll on that over. Why is that? Because, let's face it, guys. Let's face it. Vegas likes to trip us up. Okay? That's just how it goes. Now, if I was a betting man, I really love this look right here. If I was a betting man, imagine the money you win if you take the underdogs all the way through. However, did you notice the over and under? I went under 49.5. And the reason I did that is because this weekend, right, everybody's going to pretty much roll with the over, right? They're expecting a high scoring game. What was the theme last weekend? Both these games went over 50 easily. And so Vegas threw out this high number. We're gonna put the over at 49.5. So a lot of smart bettors, sharp bettors, guys that really have the analytics down to the point where they're just better bettors than me. Okay, I'm just an amateur here, all right? Now, Vegas is gonna say, you know what, let's bait them. Let's put that over and under at 49.5. Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. Okay, so if I was a betting man, I really like that board really much. I am going to put a same game parlay on that. I really am. And then you're going to get, another one like this. So this weekend, I will have $100 to roll with. I'm going to split those $100 like $10 here, $10. Not split because, it's only two ways when you split. No, I'm placing $10 parlays all over the place. So I'm going to roll with $100 on these same game parlays. Most of the majority of the money is going to go on player props. Okay, we'll get to that soon. But check this out, guys. Check out this one. Let me move it back a little. Look at this one, right? What's the difference? Right there in the middle, the over, right? So if I was a betting man and I wanted to go with the underdogs, that's what I'm looking at right there. All right, the only thing that changes if you're rolling with the underdogs will be the over and under. Cover yourself by doing two of them, right? Roll with the underdog, with the spread, the team, and then the only thing you're changing is the over and under. You're going to win one of them. That's guaranteed, okay? Now, whether or not you throw more money into one or more money into another, that's up to you, okay? So right off the bat, we just cover this. And right now, without any further ado, we're gonna wonder why we're gonna try to cover this, right? Okay, why do we want the underdogs this weekend? Well, listen, the better defense going into this weekend. Listen, we all know the DC defenders are the most aggressive defense. Okay, they got guys that, this Joe Wallace. Did you see what Joe Wallace did? The defensive tackle for the DC defenders, how he disrupted the entire St. Louis Battlehawks offensive line. It was a mismatch. And I said it on my previous video. If Joe Wallace gets back there, he's going to disrupt everything. And you saw the sacks coming. Max Duggan never had a chance. He was taking some shots. Oh, my God. I think there was a couple of shots that Max Duggan, including the other quarterback that came in, Silvers. They knocked Silvers out the game. Let's face it, guys. This interior line for the DC defenders, led by Joe Wallace, that's going to be huge going into this championship game. Okay, the interior line. All right, and I wrote down. I wrote down on my notes because I'm looking at my notes as I'm preparing you guys for the edges you're looking at. Okay, so right off the bat, when it comes to the DC defenders, they just took it to St. Louis, and Joe Wallace was probably, in my book, I think he was the MVP of that game. I mean, as much as Jordan Ta'amu played great and Deion Jackson ran the ball well, to stop that St. Louis offense, you had to get in the face of the quarterback, and that's what Joe Wallace did. Congratulations, Joe Wallace. You deserve to be in the NFL. Okay, let's look at some other stuff because the Michigan Panthers have a good offensive line, right? They're running the ball well. They got McCurry, and Colburn came back just in time for the playoffs. He looks healthy. He's running hard, and he's got some speed and some kick to him, right? So that's a good combination of McCurry. I don't think McCurry may be injured, didn't see him much, but Colburn and Toa together in that backfield and the way they're running the football, that could be a way to slow down the rush of Joe Wallace and that interior line because Joe Wallace is gonna have to play his probably the best game of his life this weekend for DC to have a chance on the defense to win. And I really mean that because if you look at the secondary, again, what was the thing I was saying before these games happened? The secondary of the DC defenders, they're very undisciplined. I love the play of Thompson. I really do. He's a good blitzer, phenomenal blitzer. He does struggle sometimes with trying to, wrap his arms around quarterbacks when he gets there. I mean, we all saw the last time, okay, he struggled when he came in the blitz, bouncing off Bryce Perkins and stuff like that. Okay, so look, here's the thing. They got a good secondary, but they're undisciplined at times. You saw those yellow flags coming out throughout the game in that conference championship game for the XFL. And that was alarming to see. Despite everything that the DC defenders were doing up front, the back end of that defense was just, I mean, they were struggling. I mean, Hakeem Butler, if those balls are thrown better by Max Duggan or Silvers, this is a closer game than what the score looked like. And they're very undisciplined back there. But when they're playing their game, they could get the job done. So that's something for Michigan to look for. However, if I'm Blake Williams, the defensive coordinator, I'm not blitzing Thompson this weekend. And I'll tell you why. As aggressive of a defensive coordinator that Blake Williams is, we all know what Bryce Perkins can do when the blitz is coming. He'll either roll out, even if you get there, he'll bounce off of you and still manage to get out of the pocket. We saw that all throughout the championship game this past weekend where he had that one big run where I don't know. I don't know if this guy is a running back playing quarterback or a quarterback trying to play running back. No matter what, people are bouncing off of him. Maybe he's got a little bit of grease on the jersey. I don't know. Some magic is going on back there. But anyway, this weekend, if DC wants to keep this game in their favor, be aggressive with your blitzes, but be careful sending your secondary men. Okay, they also have one guy who got himself arrested prior to the championship game. I hate to throw this out. I mean, prior to the conference championship game, Joseph, the kid Joseph, I believe his name is Kelvin Joseph, I believe is his name, ex-Dallas Cowboy. Unfortunately, and we won't talk much on it, but we'll say, listen, we wish you the best. Hopefully, you recover from all of this. It really involved a fatal accident. Kelvin Joseph, unfortunately, the night before the game, I don't know why, but he chose to be out that night, got himself intoxicated according to the report, got into a fatal car crash. He wasn't the one that was fatally injured. Unfortunately, a young woman was. And hearts and prayers to the families and the victims, okay? But enough of that. Let's get back to our picks. And again, this is something that maybe, the DC defenders, they could be aggressive on the defense, okay? They could get at you at the quarterback. They run these fantastic blitz schemes that I've seen, incredible blitz schemes. And I think the front seven this weekend is going to have to carry the majority of those blitz packages because I really believe if they send a secondary guy, And it was the reason why I brought up the Joseph situation, because it's going to take away the depth of the people that have to replace the corner or the safety guy that's going to blitz. And I don't think those guys are capable of hanging back there with the receivers like Siosi Mariner or Vaughns or Bryce Perkins, who's going to be patient. He's going to roll out and he's going to try to run with the football, whatever. He's going to keep the defense honest this week. I can guarantee you that. But Blake Williams is also an aggressive coach. He doesn't bow down to anybody, and he doesn't give a shit. He's one of those coaches who's like, I don't care if you're bouncing off my tacklers or whatever. I'm still coming at you. If you get a 25-yard gain on me, I'm still going to come after you. If you get a 50-yard gain on me, I'm still coming at you. That's the way he coaches, and sometimes he'll get burnt by it. I believe this could be one of those games. So he's going to have to be careful with his blitz schemes. Maybe he doesn't blitz at all. Maybe he could fake the blitz. Sometimes the quarterbacks will call a cadence, see what they're going to do, and then maybe they call off the dogs, and this could upset Perkins as well, right? You always want to get in ahead of the quarterback, the opposing quarterback. So Blake Williams, good luck to you this weekend for this championship game, because you certainly got your hands full, not only with Bryce Perkins' running ability, but the running game of the Michigan Panthers, just outstanding. So this is a great game coming up. So let's start with the quarterback. I got this as an even matchup because Jordan Ta'amu's been the guy from day one. MVP level quarterback player you're getting right now. You saw what he did in the conference championship game. On the money with throws to start the game, right? That touchdown right there to start the game. And then he just kept going on and on throughout the game, making big plays. So kudos to him. Bryce Perkins, yet again, played at an MVP level in this playoff game, showing why he's in the running for the MVP. Maybe not for the regular season, but at least he's going to have something to say towards the end of this season. If he ends this game, this upcoming weekend's championship game, with an exclamation mark and the MVP trophy, or 1 hour plays outstanding, guess what? It'll be my choice for the MVP throughout. But this is a great even matchup. I got this as an even matchup at the quarterback position. I really don't see anybody getting one edge over the other. Maybe the running ability of Bryce Perkins, but Jordan Ta'amu's a big guy. He could run too, okay? So this is an even matchup. Let's go to the running backs, right? You got Deion Jackson, who solidified himself as the top dog in the backfield for the DC defenders. They're running the ball a little bit better. They seem to be getting everything together now with the running game. It's kind of complementing now the passing game. It seems like the defenses are now gearing up to stop the passing game, and DC is starting to get the big yardage that they have been looking for all year long. Abram Smith, okay, he was recovering really from a bad knee injury a couple of seasons ago and did not look as himself. But lately, he's been playing better. You saw it in the conference championship game, bust a couple of big runs. So Deion Jackson is the main guy, right? That's what DC has. It's going to complement the passing game, and I think St. Louis fell into that trap that they concentrated on the passing game, and they allowed Deion Jackson to have his way. And then when they finally decided, let's take this guy away, the passing game got going. And St. Louis really did not do well defensively. It felt bad for the defensive coordinator because, yes, your game planning was nothing. I mean, I did not hear anything from your edge rushers. Freeney did not hear anything. Peter, I did not hear anything from. These were the two edge rushers I was expecting to get to Jordan Ta'amu. The interior line of the St. Louis Battlehawks, non-existent. Just flat-out dominance by the O-line from the DC defenders. And that's why they're in the big game and not St. Louis. The running back position, okay, Michigan. Come on, let's face it. They got a three-headed dog there, right? Nate McCrory. I don't know if he was injured, but when he's in, he's a good running back. And then you got number 35, the guy that changed the philosophy of the Michigan Panthers throughout the season. And probably because of him, everything else fell into place. The hard running of Toa, just his physicality, the human bowling ball, that's what I call him. You saw what he did in that championship game, just destroyed Birmingham. Birmingham they didn't even want to come up and make a tackle on this guy. Let's face it, man. Guys are getting blown out by this. I mean, there was a couple of plays where linebackers, the safeties came in, they were one-on-one with the guy, and they were like, oh, I don't want no part of this. And, Toa definitely showed that when you're physical and you start wearing down the defense, those were some easy touchdowns I saw near the goal line this past weekend. Then you got Coburn. Coburn comes back, adds the speed, but he has a little bit of power too. This guy reminds me a lot of Jacob Sailors from St. Louis, and he has a little physicality to go with it, right? I mean, this guy's not afraid of contact. So I love Michigan's running. So I'm gonna give a little bit of an edge towards the Michigan running game. The running backs in this situation. I'm not saying that DC's not bad at running back, but I am saying that there is a little bit of an edge here. So I'm going to roll with the Michigan Panthers on the edge on that. Okay. Now remember, all of this is because of the way we were picking on a whiteboard. Okay. I showed you some different parlay situations you're going to get into. Okay. But I'm just right now picking the edges of this game. This will also help you in your player props too. Okay. So when I start going through this, you guys will be able to say, you know what? Casino Pete has a couple of pretty much nailed it with some of these position players, and maybe I should roll with some of these guys in my player props. So keep that in mind as we go along on this video, okay? So the wide receivers for both these teams, okay, they're not of caliber of the Birmingham Stallions, except that the DC defenders all year long, that core of receiving unit, I'm going to give them the edge over the Michigan receiving unit, but not by much. It's because of the fact that obviously you got an MVP quarterback who slings it around. He's finally starting to make his throws on the money. Okay, in the beginning of the year, what was I saying? He's underthrowing and overthrowing. And you just saw in his last conference championship game, as well as the weekends before, he was starting to nail those passes in. And he has a bunch of receivers I like. Let's start off with the guy Powell, right? Powell, number 14. This guy's a big dude, can get downfield, can make the tough catches. You got Braylon Sanders. You got Jay Mickens, right? That's his name, Jay Mickens, right? You got him. You also have Roland, okay? Roland, that slot receiver. I mean, they got receivers. Okay, they got receivers, all right? And we still haven't spoken about Ty Scott. Is he out? I don't know. Is he going to play this weekend? I don't know. But there's a bunch of guys there you could pick for player props. That's going to give you some numbers. I like Mickens and I like Roland. Okay, but this is the edge that I like about DC going into this game. Okay, we're going to explain that later when we start putting some philosophy behind all of this. Or okay, if that's what you want to call it, right? Some analytical stuff that, unfortunately, I don't have a computer in front of me. I mean, computer. You talk to this generation and you say computer, and they look at you like, what? What's that? A laptop. Can I say that? I don't have a laptop in front of me. Okay. All right. I'm old school. Okay. I'm a 70s guy. Okay. So Michigan's got a couple of good receivers. I like this Iosi Mariner. He's coming around for Bryce Perkins. He's becoming actually Bryce Perkins' favorite target this past month. Obviously, Vaughns, you got him, right? And then you could use Coburn out of the backfield, right? He could help you there, probably in slot situations, right? So it was kind of difficult to see what I was going to pinpoint my edge, but I think I'm going to have to go with DC on the edge on this, right? Just like the running back situation where I found that the running game from Michigan is slightly better than the DC defenders. Well, this is how I feel about the DC receivers. They're slightly, I don't want to say slightly. I would say that they were just the best in the league this year, right? I think second was Birmingham, and then third was St. Louis. So let's be real. DC is going to get the edge in the receiving unit here. Tight ends. Oh, let me see. If I could name a tight end off the top of my head for any of these teams, then I would give an edge. But I think they're both even. When I talk about Birmingham's tight end, what screams out? Jordan Thomas, Jay Sternberg. When I talk about Michigan's tight end, what screams out? Yep, that screams out. Silence. Same with the DC defenders. I think that kid, number 88, He's a good player. I think he's the starting tight end, right? No disrespect to either group from both teams, but I put an even on this, right? They're both evened out. Let's go to the O lines, okay, for both teams. Again, I got it even. Why? The pass protection of the DC defenders. They proved it this past weekend. The way they shut down Peter and Dwight Freeney, of Travis Feeney, the way they shut them down. They dominated the line of scrimmage this past weekend, as well as the Michigan Panthers. They're both an evened out group, okay? Michigan has the edge with the running game. It's kind of very important because this weekend they're going to have to pretty much play the best game of their lives. How do you handle Joe Wallace? This is going to be this is where the matchup is going to be interesting, right? Because I got both these offensive lines at even. Okay, the pass protection of the DC defenders is fantastic. Same could be said a little bit about Michigan, right? Because the running game complements the passing game. If you run well, the passing game will do well. So it's about an even matchup. And I think when I say even, when you look at the D linemen for both these teams, you got Joe Wallace on one side, you got Marino on the other. Not saying that Marino is only the big dog. There's other big dogs on that defensive line, but it seems like the cameras are focused in on Marino. He could be disruptive. But Joe Wallace is the guy that's probably going to get an edge on this, right? And which makes me think, should I edge out the O-line for DC in this game? No. I'm just going to keep it even. Okay, let's go to the kicking game. It should be even there. You got Potter on one side, and then you got for the DC defenders the kid. Oh my goodness, yeah, can't even get his name, but they're both good. Okay, they're solid. I'm not going to say they're great, but they're solid, right? No disrespect. I got that at even. Pretty much the special teams for both these groups can get it done. But I'm going to give a slight edge to the DC defenders on special teams because of their kick return and punt return. When number 12 gets back there, he is dangerous for DC. He really is. He's dangerous, all right? And it's hard to pick up a guy that's diminutive, right? I think, what is he, 5'6", 5'7", and he's tough. He's tough, 5'8", somewhere in that area. But he could get going with the return units of both these teams. So I'm gonna give an edge on special teams to the DC defenders. Although the kicking game is pretty much the same as well as the punting. We're not going to get into the punting and kicking. The kicking game is more important as well as the punting because you want to place them in bad positions, right? Field positions. So it is important, but the slight edge might be the DC defenders on this one because of Chris Roll. Okay, let's go defensive line for both these teams. Let's see who has the edge. Wow. I'm going to give the slight edge on the DC defenders with Joe Wallace because when he gets going, he disrupts everything. He's a game changer. The edge rushers with Malik Fisher and guys like that, they get an opportunity to go after the quarterbacks. The blitz schemes are very intelligent on Blake Williams. Sometimes he'll send a linebacker not to get to the quarterback, but to knock off the lineman who's pass protecting against either a defensive end or edge rusher or a defensive tackle, nose guard, whatever, against the center and guard. When I look at those blitz packages, you talk about teams that sell out. Remember the Bill Belichick motto, do your job. Imagine telling a linebacker, on this play, you're coming in on a blitz, but you're not going to get the quarterback. We want this guy to get the quarterback. Your job is to hit the offensive tackle, free up this guy, or hit the offensive guard, the center, to free up this guy. Now, we've all seen selfish players. We've all seen guys that say, wait a minute, I got a free run at the quarterback. I'm going to fly in there, right, because the hole is this big. No one's blocking me. I got the speed. I'm going to go in there and knock the shit out of the quarterback. But what does Bill Belichick always say? Do your job. The way his blitz packages are, they got to show this again. It's an incredible thing to watch. He will send a linebacker, and the guy has a free run at the quarterback. No, I'm not going after the quarterback. I'm going to hit this guy because I want the nose guard or the DT to get to that guy. And it's not a bad thing because if that guy decides to roll out, guess who's there? The linebacker that blitz or the defensive end or the edge rusher. And if he doesn't run, guess who's going in there? The defensive tackle. That's why Joe Wallace has those sacks. That's why Joe Wallace was so disruptive this past weekend against St. Louis. St. Louis had no answer for that. They were so. I don't understand a team that plays you twice a year, right? Basically, knows your game in and out, and yet they couldn't pick that up on film. Bad job by the offensive coordinators, the O-line coach. Just a bad job of communicating with one another what they're seeing together. Um, that was so disappointing to watch, and the defenders did it yet once again going into that game, and this is why they're in the championship game, guys. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it, right? So I'm gonna give the edge to the DC defenders. At linebacker, I think both of them are evened out. Although Braylon Speaks, he's been back now. He's a good blitz linebacker. Gets the job done back there. I could say the same for the DC linebackers. They do get the job done. They're good run stuffers. Both teams are good against the run. Every now and then they'll let a big run get by. But when you look at the running back matchup against these linebackers for both these teams, DC's going to have their hands full, but again, it's going to be up to the interior to disrupt what happens up front, and then those linebackers can come up and make the plays. That's what helps the DC defender linebackers. When you look at Michigan, right, with their linebackers, they know that DC loves to pass, so they'll probably sit a little further back at the line of scrimmage, but they also know that the big threat in their backfield is Deion Jackson. You know, even if Abram Smith is in the game, they know he's a little, lost a little. I don't know if he lost a little bit of speed. He didn't look like that, but then Abram Smith's not going to pose a threat like Deion Jackson. So the linebackers will probably sit on average where they normally sit, 5 yards off the ball. Maybe they'll creep in knowing, hey, it's first down. Maybe they might run Deion to the outside. It's going to be up to the outside linebackers of Michigan to keep them on the inside perimeter. But DC likes to throw. That's how they got here. Let's not kid ourselves. They carry themselves through the passing game, and this is why I think the linebackers are going to be playing more zone coverage in this game. And I think the DC offensive coordinator is going to have to come up with some serious game planning with how they want to attack this zone defense, okay? And the reason I'm saying zone is because they don't have that blitz package that Blake Williams has. Although, when Braylon Speaks comes off the edge, man, he's a problem. He's a problem. And they got other edge rushers and they got other players too. This is not a bad defense. But when it comes to stopping the run, Michigan has an edge on that from their linebackers. Okay, we're going by their linebackers. Okay, but again, it's up to Marino and that D line to create the interruption in the middle. Okay, so I got that as even, right? Both sides with their linebacking units. Now, when you look at the secondary, we clearly know that all the talent's going to ride on the DC defenders with their secondary, right? With Thompson, Baker, ex-NFL players back there and everything. But, man, the one Achilles heel for that defense is the secondary, because what is it that they do? They're hard-headed. They commit penalties. They're undisciplined in that secondary. I can't even count how many flags I saw in this championship game against St. Louis. Those yellow flags were flying in the end zone, all over the place. Like, what the hell is the DC defenders doing? Like, what is going on? You guys are ball hawkers. You got that talent. You got guys that could get back there and make plays. And yet, every time I watch you guys play, it's almost comical. It's like, what is this? The Three Stooges back there? Well, what's going on? The Keystone Cops? I mean, you guys are too talented to play like this. It's undisciplined football. Sometimes Blake Williams will send you on a blitz, and you guys come flying in undisciplined. You don't break down. You don't assess what you're going to hit, and guys are bouncing off of you. And then when it comes to guys bigger than you at wide receiver, you guys are flailing your arms and you're grabbing jerseys. I never seen a group of talented guys play like. I don't know, maybe it's the secondary coach not coaching them up. Because if you stay your ground, and I mean this DeAndre Baker, yes, we saw that stupid penalty you caught in this game, okay? These are the little things that kill me. DeAndre Baker, you're a much better player than that. Come on. I understand it's the UFO. I understand you were a former number one draft pick, played in the NFL, and you want to come in here saying, hey, I'm the guy. No one's going to get by me. This is the UFO. I'm better than this league. Listen, cut the bullshit. All right, you're in this league because of shit you did in the NFL, okay? Cut the bullshit. Straighten your shit out. You're still young enough. You might even have a chance to get back in the NFL. Let's not be stupid here. Clear up your act, your off-field issues, the whole shit, and you're back in the NFL. But I don't like what I'm seeing from you, DeAndre. Step up, my man. Step up. Play disciplined football. You're going to be going up against Cialci, Mariner, and Vaughns. These are two receivers, very disciplined wide receivers, great route runners, and I believe they have another guy that sits in a slot who could kill you also, and I keep forgetting his name. But you're going to have to play your best football this weekend, guys. Don't think that you're bringing that shit, undisciplined stuff into the championship game. Blake Williams, if you're in that meeting today and all through the week, you're going to have to tell that secondary, guys, when I call your number and you're coming in on a blitz against Bryce Perkins, you better break down at some point. Unless you have a clear shot of knocking his helmet off, you go straight at him like a fucking a bullet out of a rifle. Other than that, you better be disciplined and understand that Bryce Perkins is a threat with his legs. And if he gets away from you, he's going to throw that ball downfield. And he is an accurate quarterback. He'll get it done. So I'm telling you right now, when it comes about both secondaries, right, when it comes to talk about both secondaries, I like Michigan's discipline. I like that DJ Miller. I really do. I like that kid. I mean, he could play solid football back there. He's very disciplined, rarely gets fouls on him. Kai Nakua, what can I say? What can I say about that guy? He's just all over the place, right? The Troy Polamalu of that defense, right? And he's a threat. He's always around the football. DC, you got guys that can do that too, but I'm going to give it a slight edge to the Michigan secondary. Overall, okay, and I'm looking at some of my notes. All right, when it comes to player props, when it comes to the quarterbacks, we're going to go with Bryce Perkins and Jordan Tyamo. We're going to look for some serious player props. They're both mobile. They could both give you touchdowns with their legs. I think both these quarterbacks are good for 2 touchdowns this weekend. What do you think, guys? You think they're both good for 2 passing touchdowns? We know they're good for maybe 1. If I had to pick one guy that could get in the end zone with his running ability, it's going to be Bryce Perkins. He just knows how to dodge a tackler. He just, like when he's running, for some reason, he's got eyes in the back of his head. Jordan Tyramo's a big guy. He'll try to take you on and get in the end zone. But I think, to DC's credit, they're not going to try to put him in too many positions like that. They'll probably fake a rollout like okay, the option is we're going to roll you out near the goal line. So you're either going to have an option of throwing it or taking it in. They could do something like that towards the edge part of goal. They're not going to tell him fake the pads, do a quarterback draw and run it in from 10 yards out. I mean, he's capable, but if he gets hurt, bro, you ain't got a quarterback for the rest of the game because I know you got a decent backup, but I don't think he's going to come in and play like Jordan Tyamo. So be careful with that. But as far as player props, in fact, let me put these player props up here, all right? So let me write down right now player props. Okay. All right. Player props. Okay. So we're going to do the quarterbacks here, right? And we're going to go with Jordan Tyamo, all right? Okay. I'm going to put Jordan. We all know who we're talking about, okay? All right. Pass. Yards. I'm going to look for Jordan Tyamo to throw for over. I think we could get him for 250 yards. What do you think, guys? 250 sounds good, right? 250 yards and 2 TDs, all right? We're going to do Bryce here, right? We always start off with the quarterback props because that's going to be the big thing here, right? And we're going to go, I think we could stick with 250 yards. All right. I think both 2 touchdowns as well. If I had to do rushing yardage for this weekend's game, if you see the over, I don't know, 25 yards. We're going to go with Bryce. It might be higher because they know he gets higher yardage, right? Might be higher than that. All right. So, let me just move my camera a little. I think I hit it by accident. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how it looks on you. Then I think I hit it by accident. We're gonna go with Bryce. Um, it'll be under with Jordan. Okay, we'll be under with Jordan. All right. If you're looking for like a prop betting, let's start off with the quarterbacks. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that. Both quarterbacks, I think they're going to throw over 250. I think both could have 2 touchdowns in this game passing. I also think that Bryce is the better pick for rushing yardage. We go with the over. If you see 25, 30 yards, I think I would go over. He's certainly proving that. Jordan, I would stay under. Even though he's capable of getting out of the pocket and running, I would stay under. So when it comes to the passing yards, this is the difficult part because both are capable for over 250, right? But if I wanted to be safe, if you see I don't know if the passing player props will be less than that. I'm gonna put it in red. If you see something like 235 or 245, I'm taking the over. I'm gonna take the over. If you see this, look at the passing yards for these quarterbacks. If you see this, take the over. Okay. All right. Now I put them down. I put them both down for 2 touchdowns each. Listen, the DC defenders got great receivers, and Bryce Perkins, when he gets going against that undisciplined secondary of DC, yeah, he could get 2 touchdowns easily. Why not? So, yeah. As far as the quarterbacks, I got them over 230 easily in this game. So be careful with your player props. Like I said, trust your eyes, right? Be careful with your player props when it comes to quarterbacks, receivers now, right? Boy, this is a tough one. DC receivers, right? DC receivers. I'm gonna put it in red because hope I spelled it right. You know what I'm gonna do? Because I don't know if I'm gonna spell receivers right. So no, actually, you know what? Screw that. Wait. All right. I'll do it this way, right? Wideouts. DC wideouts. Oh my God. Can you believe this? DC wideouts. Yards. I'll put that on top. And how many touchdowns? Okay. I'm looking at 2. And you're going to see props for each receiver go around 35 to maybe 60. Okay. Michigan, all right. Michigan wideouts, they're going to be around that area too. 35, 60, 2 TDs from each group. Okay. So look, without having any specific player, okay, that's how it looks for this weekend's championship. If you see any DC wideout between 35 and 60 yards, I think both groups are going to get 2 touchdowns each. I just think I don't know which of the receivers will have 1 or 2. But if I had to pick a guy that's going to be an X factor from both teams, right? Okay, now watch this. Right? Watch this. And by the way, if it's over 60 yards for either group, I know that DC always hits those big plays. We know that they get big plays downfield. My player prop, when it comes to, I don't know which receivers you're going to go with to get that over 60 yardage, but I would stick with one of the DC defender receivers. Although I will say this, Sayosi Mariner has been a go-to target for Bryce Perkins. If I had to choose two guys from either team, and you're gonna see it right now, right? You're gonna see it right now. For DC, we all know, okay, roll on. Okay. We're gonna go with total scrimmage yards and maybe a TD, right? We're gonna do this, right? All right. I'm just writing it down so you guys can see it clearly. If I see these numbers, 60 to maybe 80 and maybe one TD, all right? If you see this for Chris Rowland, I might jump on it. I think he's capable of 60 to 80 yards this weekend and a touchdown. He is their X factor, by the way. Now, for Michigan, this is going to be interesting, right? Because we're talking about receiving yardage or total scrimmage yards. But total scrimmage yardage, to me, could go to Mariner for me. I think Mariner is going to give me about 60 yards receiving and maybe one TD. Okay? So if you're looking at this chart, hopefully it's helping. These are player prop charts. Michigan wide receiver, Sayossi Mariner. I think he would be good for over 60 yards this weekend at one touchdown. Remember, great players play great during the moments, right? And I think these two guys right here are going to show up, especially Bryce Perkins. He's been looking at Mariner's way. He's been a big target. Not to say that he's going to be the main guy. It's just saying that so far from what we're seeing, right, we're trusting our eyes. These are two guys that they get down and dirty in games like this, right? Chris Rowland, he's a fantastic player, slot receiver. Sometimes he, kick returning, punt return. Remember, this guy does everything, Chris Rowland. So he does kick returning, punt returning, comes out of the backfield. Sometimes he runs the ball. So his player prop is probably the best one of all the receivers in this game. I'm definitely going with Chris Rowland. But you have to understand, are you going over and under? Anything like around 60 yards, I'm going to take the over. I think Chris Rowland's going to be awesome this weekend. Let's go with running backs, right? Running back props, right? Who do we got here? Deion Jackson, right? DC, we're going to roll with Deion Jackson. Okay. What are we going to get from this guy? We're probably going to get maybe this is a tough one because DC is going to throw the ball, right? They got here by throwing the ball. Deion Jackson has been doing well running the ball. So if you see this prop, 45 to 55 yards, and maybe one TD, I think I could stay safe with something like this, right? Right, for DC, Deion Jackson seems to be the main guy now, between 45, 55 yards and one touchdown around the goal line. If you see something like that, or is it under total scrimmage yards? I don't know. But if you see something like that, I think that's a safe bet. Maybe go under 55, but go over 45 rushing yards, okay? Now we go, my favorite guy. Come on. All right, my favorite guy. We all know him. I'm going to put number 35 because that's obvious. Tall, right? 65 to 7. Oh, you know what? Vegas is going to trip you up. I guarantee you Vegas's rushing yards this week is going to have you somewhere around here. I bet you Vegas is going to throw something like this on. Now, we all know that Toa has been averaging about 70 to 75. I think he got over 76 several times. But they're going to throw something like this at you, Vegas. 80 and a half yards, one touchdown. Man, I'll tell you what. I'm feeling good. I might just take that on the over. Maybe, just maybe this is the guy. But here's the X factor. You know why I might go under? You know why on this prop I'll go under? Now, when it comes to goal line, that touchdown is not even guaranteed. Da, 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 da. Who's in the middle? Joe Wallace. Da, 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 da. Okay? Unless you're manhandling Joe Thomas, this could be this could be a bad situation for guys hanging their money on number 35. Okay? You also have another guy on Michigan. I don't know if Nate McCurry's going to play, but he would be good for 25, 30 yards in his game if he plays, maybe a touchdown. But here's a guy that's coming out of nowhere. Kevin Colburn. Shifty, quick, physical. Kevin Colburn, another guy, player prop material. We're going to go with total scrimmage yards. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to put him around 45, 55, and maybe one TD. Now, 45, 55 would be like total scrimmage, right? Because here's the thing. I see him doing 25 yards rush. All right? I see him doing that. Receiving wise, I see another 15 to 20 receiving yards. Maybe 2 receptions, right? Okay. I'm going to go over. Do you see this for Kevin Colburn? Do you see that? All right. This is the way it looks. Kevin Colburn, see the total scrimmage yards? Over 45 to 55 yards. Should have put yards next to it. Maybe I will. Hold on 1 second. Right? Over yards. That's for both receiving and rushing. It's not for just one specific thing. It's going to look like this. Over 45, 55 yards with 1 touchdown, total scrimmage yards. We'll probably get 25 rushing yards and then 15 to 20 yards receiving. If you see those numbers, you can take I could go over the 45 scrimmage yards. It will be risky at 55 yards, but I think I'm safe with that. I could take the over. All right, so these are just some of the player props for this weekend's championship games. I showed you so many ways how I was going to go with the same game parlays and stuff like that. Okay? What type of score am I expecting? I like the over, the over of 49.5. What type of score I'm looking at? 31-26. I don't know. I'm rolling with either team. I got a same game parlay with the spread and the over with Michigan. Okay, they're the favorites. And I got same game parlay rolling with DC Defenders, they're the underdogs, with also taking the over. But on another parlay, I'm going to play safe and take the under with the underdogs. And then I'm going to do one with Michigan and take the under with the over and unders. Okay, so you're going to have to mix and match. I try to give you the edge. This is all for free. All right, hit that like and subscribe button for Casino Pete. Trying to give you all these edges. I know that Chucky Valentine out there is going to have something to say about all of this. So I welcome his comments. Carlos Sanchez, wake up. Got to hear from you, guy. All right, I got to hear from you, all right? So I know he might have something to say about this. Again, last weekend, if you went with my previous video and what I was choosing, you went 2-4. You only won with the overs. But if you mixed and matched and you changed it around, went with the underdogs along with my overs, you were a fantastic winner. On my FanDuel, I did take what Chucky Valentine told me to do, take that +3 with the defenders. That came through for me. Thank you, Chucky. But for this weekend's championship game, Weather will not be a factor, so that's a good thing, right? It's a dome. It's at St. Louis. St. Louis fans, I know it's going to be bittersweet. You do get the championship game at home. Unfortunately, the best team throughout the season, the Battlehawks, did not get there for you guys. So otherwise, it would have probably been close to a sellout. But I think you guys should still show up, support the UFL, support the St. Louis fan base. Both opposing team fans, please show up. Please show up. Can the Michigan Panther fans please show up? You didn't get that championship from the Detroit Lions, but you could probably get it from the Michigan Panthers. So show up and support your team. Come on, come down. The tickets are cheap. We can do it. We can do it, guys. Same thing with the DC Defenders. I want to see the Beer Snake being represented. And also, let's throw in the St. Louis crowd, okay, because this is, in fact, their hometown. You're getting what's really a Super Bowl in the UFL for cheap tickets. Come on, let's get out there, guys. Let's sell out this crowd. Let's make this a championship, real Super Bowl type feel of a game. So get out there, guys. Come on, man. Let's do this. Let's do this. We had a good season. UFO was great to us this season, okay? It was a great year. You know, unfortunately, the underdogs went crazy on us this past weekend. Sports bettors all flopped. But we did sacrifice some wins out here, and we got them, okay? You always got to know how to roll with your parlays, bet small, win big, break up your parlays. But this is for all the marbles. I want every fan who represents the UFL, every fan of every team to head out to this game. Yes, I include it, okay? I'm going to do everything I can to get to this game. If I'm not there, listen, if I don't get to this game, it's because of circumstances that are not under my control. It could be because I have to do something outside of what I normally do, okay? But I'll keep you posted. If I do go, I will be posting up from the game. And speaking of fans and stuff like that, I hope I can get there. If not, unfortunately, I can only do this from my couch, okay? But listen, guys, head out there. Let's be supportive of this league. Let's do everything we can to support this game. Let's get there. Seriously, come on. We can sell out. Come on, man. This is the UFO. Let's do this. Let's keep the spring league going. Okay. Hopefully they expand next year and they get this stuff, everything going. You know what I'm saying? I love what I'm seeing about this league, and this is going to be great. St. Louis fans, like I said from the beginning, it was bittersweet. Now you're going to have to suck it up for this game. Come on. Represent. I'm sure you guys probably bought tickets way ahead for this big game. Stay with those tickets. Come out. Don't sell the tickets. One day you'll look back and say, damn, I could have been at this game. Turned out to be one of the greatest games of all time. Or something great's going to happen in this game. I'm pretty sure something crazy is going to happen in this game, right? Every big game has something, crazy fumbles, interceptions, a block kick, a block punt, a kick return, a punt return, a sack. Something major always happens in big games like this, and I want everyone to be out there in that stadium to experience that. So come on, guys, get out there. I think I pretty much covered everything today. Our regular season was okay. We were above 500 and everything. This weekend we were under 500 because we did not include the playoffs to go along with our regular season. So I don't know what our record overall is, right? But I'm pretty sure we're still ahead in the 500 over the 500 column, right? I think we're ahead in the win column on all three with the money line, the over and unders, and the spread. I'm pretty much safe with that. But it's a new season come playoff time, so that's why I don't include it with the regular season. But for me, on the video, I went 2-4. But outside the video, I do my parlays and I tell you which way I swing. And so I swung with the DC Defenders. I managed to save a same game parlay. Got some of my money back, not all of it, right? But look, if you have $100 to throw around, $10 here on one parlay, $10 here on a player prop, $10 here on another, mix and match, do whatever you can. Don't go crazy. Don't be betting, what did I say at the beginning of the season? Unpredictable league. Certainly show that in the playoffs. Unpredictable everything. When it comes to players being pulled from games, whatever. We saw that too, right? Thanks a lot, Skip Holtz. Taking out Jamar Smith. Really ruined pretty much everyone's player props and parlays out there. And thanks a lot, Max Duggan, for not playing well. Just don't get why this guy, every time he gets to football, wants to run. You know how to, and they did during the game show his mechanics. Like he has that swing, like before he throws it. Like they showed Jordan like this, right? Before he throws a football, like this, right? And then they show Max Duggan's arm all the way down here before he throws a football. That's why he was getting popped all through the game. That's why he couldn't complete passes. But listen, guys, I wish you the best this weekend with your player props, your picks. Know how to mix and match. I'm Casino Pete. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to give you an edge for free. You don't have to pay no one for your picks. Word of advice to all gamblers out there: please don't gamble. It ruins lives. Just don't gamble, period. But if you do, entertain yourself. Do it for fun. Do it with fun money. Do it with money you don't plan to lose. Okay, do it with money that you don't have a problem losing. Okay, you don't have a problem throwing away some money and entertaining yourself. Don't do it with money you need. Do it with money you don't need. All right, that's probably the best advice I can give to people out there betting. I like to bet small and win big. So good luck, guys, and Chucky and Carlos. Hope to hear from you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hey, guys, I'm trying to get so many viewers and subscribers, man. Because after the season ends, my concentration is going to be on sports betting still with the NFL. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to upload one for after the championship game, but if I do, it's just to congratulate the winner. And maybe I will upload another video. Just tune in for that, all right? Just look me up, and if you have already subscribed to me, it should come up automatically. So after the UFL season, not to be disrespectful to the Canadian Football League, because, thanks to Chucky Valentine, I'll be watching some Canadian Football League, and thanks to Carlos Sanchez, I'll be watching some college football. That's not to say I'll be making videos of picking winners and losers. I don't think I'm going to go Canadian or college, but my concentration is going to be fully on the NFL from once the UFL season ends. It's going to be into the NFL. And hopefully when the season begins, we'll be able to roll with player props, picks, spreads, everything. It's going to be videos about everything. NFL season starts. That's what I love the most, the NFL season. UFL close second. Okay, I love both these leagues. I hope they continue. So good luck, guys, this weekend. Hope to hear from you. Hope you're successful this weekend. Hope you make some money. This was a great season for us, and hopefully it gets better and better and better. And I'll be hearing from you guys, and you'll be hearing from me. All right. If you have already subscribed to my channel, then I'll be in your face almost every weekend, pretty much, whether it's playing craps, slot machines, or sports betting, and NFL and UFL football. So thank you for joining in, and hope this weekend you guys kill it. All right. And I hope we all do well this weekend. Let's make that money, guys. Let's make that money.